Hey, this is Rob Anspach with eHeroes, and welcome back. Today's
Hey.
eHero is Henry Sims, and we haven't seen Henry for at least a year. And he just got back from another awesome speakeasy, and this time with Mark Victor Hansen, the guy from Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I just wanted to have Henry back to talk about not only speakeasy, but his experience with Mark Victor Hansen and the whole speakeasy crowd, and we'll see what's going on with Facebook and chat bots and whatever else we talk about. So welcome, Henry.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
Are you sure?
We'll see.
We'll see. I know. I mean, the speakeasy event was just a few days ago. You're exhausted, and but just being in a room with Mark Victor Hansen, was probably kind of awe inspiring. I think.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a very exhausting event to run. Any event is tiring, but when you are in a room of that level of people and you're with people who are just as crazy as you trying to make a living and doing what they want, it's also energizing. So as much as you're physically drained, your head's just going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's been a year, a little over a year since that you were on the last episode. I think you were on episode 71. This is episode 133 for all those keeping track. And in that year's time, we've had this crazy pandemic that's kind of killed half the business out there. But you know, then you're rocking and rolling with your dad with the speakeasy events, and these people are paying big bucks to come
Mhm.
to some odd place, and they have no idea what they're getting themselves into, and next thing they know, they're rubbing elbows with one of the biggest authors on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah, it is funny, that you have these people who don't know anything except for a date and, if they're lucky, an address, and they still join anyway. So I guess we've just found our kind of people.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah.
I'm actually one of those weird people. I was at the
Yep.
event in San Francisco in 2019, and let me tell you, that event was crazy, and I met so many people, and we've partnered with a bunch of them, which is great, and I've actually brought Henry in on a bunch of these projects, and Henry's brought me on a bunch of projects. So it's kind of one of those events where you meet people, and it just has so much profound effect on your business later in life.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a very open atmosphere of wanting to meet people and gain as much as you can from the event, and it has worked out very nicely for all of us.
Oh yeah, and we still make fun of each other, which is great. That's how friends, I think, work great together. Not everything has to be serious, but I look at what you're doing, which is pretty awesome. And you're making all these chat bots for people, and you're creating Facebook ads for people, and then I look at what Facebook is doing, and I'm thinking, oh, Mark Zuckerberg needs a throat punch.
Yes, it is frustrating, but
Frustrating.
getting getting into the whole digital marketing space, if you're going to be anywhere online, then it takes a certain person to be okay with all of that because it's going to change at some time, and you don't know how. So it's just a matter of you have to be crazy enough to adapt with it.
I've interviewed other people in the past about chatbots, and they've been around for a while, and you and I like to use ManyChat, which is a great product. We actually toured the facility in 2019, which was great. But what I've been seeing lately is because of Facebook making these changes, ManyChat then has to go and make changes, which then disrupts all the chats that you've already created. And I don't think Facebook even takes into consideration third party products.
Yeah, uh, it's there's a lot of I don't know too well about what's influenced some of their decisions in the past or what their considerations have been. But as of lately, there's been so many privacy changes, so many privacy policies, and then Apple with their new iOS 14, it's forced Facebook to make some changes that they don't want to make,
Yeah.
and then obviously that's affecting advertisers, it's affecting the chatbots, how we use Facebook. So there is a lot of changes on Facebook, but they we still know that they want great content. They want people to enjoy being on the platform, and that's their first priority.
Mhm.
And keeping people there allows advertisers and chatbots and all that to stay there as well.
I think that since we're recording this after the election, we're recording this after the transition from Trump to Biden,
Mhm.
and a lot of those bubbles, those fact checkers and everything else, they've kind of gone away. But so have a lot of the audience. I've noticed that since this transition, Facebook has become a ghost town. I don't know if it's because everybody's gravitating towards, newer, like MeWe or well, Parlor we know is now been decimated. I don't think it's coming back, but they've gravitated towards Clubhouse and some of these other ones. So how does that affect, Facebook advertising? Because it's like, right, my engagement is so low now.
Hmm. Yeah, we may just be in the middle of a little hiccup, a little transition period. There's lots of updates going on, but yes, anytime there's a new platform that comes out, everyone runs to it and take like juices everything out of it they can. But I don't know how long the clubhouse trends and all that will stay. You can't post content, you can't recycle it, and Facebook still has one of the biggest social audiences in the world.
Hmm.
So, and they've got the team, they've got the funding, they've got everything to build it and manipulate it in any way that's necessary to make their audience happy. So,
Right.
Clubhouse has come out. Maybe Facebook is going to do something to kind of pull from that idea and incorporate it into their own thing. So,
Well, I have a funny feeling they will. They like to copy everything that everybody else is doing. I think Reels was a takeoff of what TikTok and although I don't see too many people using Reels. I mean, I see it every now and then, but not like people with TikTok. I mean, people with TikTok shared everywhere.
yeah, yeah. That's one of the beautiful things that TikTok did that made it very successful was its ability to easily share across every platform, versus all the other platforms that are very selfish. They
Yeah,
don't want to be involved with the others. They want you to stay on theirs, and that's where TikTok really set itself apart.
yeah. I remember years ago you could mirror your Facebook post right to Twitter. So I mean, it was like post once and it goes over there and becomes a tweet, which is great. You don't have to be on multiple platforms. And then Facebook changed that, and it was like, you know, and there, I really think Facebook is changing the environment so that people do not leave, Facebook. Everything stays. Um,
Mhm.
people have been with Facebook now. I've been with Facebook since 2009. So I mean, that's a long time.
Yeah.
But in the last 2 months though, I've gained probably 500-600 connections to my LinkedIn, and I've been growing that more than I have my Facebook.
Yeah, LinkedIn is I still believe LinkedIn is underestimated,
Hmm.
and it's still got fantastic organic potential on there,
Yeah.
and people do very well organically on there. So it is a great platform that I think people need to focus on more. But it's also a very there's a lot of stereotypes with it. People believe you got to show up in a suit and tie to be on LinkedIn, and that's just not the case because it's just boring. And
Yeah.
social media is not supposed to be boring. So going on there and changing your image to be in a suit and tie, if that's not what you are, it
I
goes
mean,
against.
I wear Mickey Mouse shirts all the time or
Yeah,
hats. I mean, you wear beanies and sweatshirts. I mean,
yeah,
we are not the typical entrepreneur that was 25 years ago.
yeah. I think if you showed up in a suit and tie, you'd probably get some abusive messages from us.
Yeah. I'd be the first in line.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not many people get my sarcasm, which, is kind of good. Makes for a lot of great books, but my list of enemies gets longer and longer every day.
Yeah.
I can't say enemies, more like distractors. But
Yes.
when we last left you a year ago, you were doing your entrepreneurial journey videos,
Mhm.
and you still put them out. But in that year's time, what have you learned?
Oh man. One of the biggest things was just trying to focus on one thing at a time. Uh, I was so I was so worried about getting the perfect plan and getting every single element in place, and it moved slow.
Hmm.
It didn't happen that way. And so when I started just kind of realizing, okay, let's just focus on one element, whether it's the Facebook ads or whether it's the chatbot, whatever it is, maybe some back end issue, focusing on that and getting that in place. And I started getting every element stronger
Hmm.
quicker than if I was to do it individually. So that was one of the biggest things, was just making sure that I had more of a focused, a smaller lane that I was focusing on, and making sure that I stuck to it rather than getting scattered everywhere. That's very easy for
Oh,
entrepreneurs to get scattered with absolutely everything that comes into your head.
yeah. You made a shift. You looked at what you were doing wrong, and you noticed that, hey, you know what? In order to do this better, I have to focus on one thing at a time. And I
Yeah.
think that's, you said it right. I mean, entrepreneurs are scattered. I mean, we all suffer from ADD,
Hmm.
and by focusing on that one thing, that's all I do. I mean, I have a whole long list of stuff that I need to get done. The
Yeah.
problem is when you look at that whole list, you're thinking, oh my God, that's going to take forever. I'm not going to do it. So what I do is I one day at a time focus on this client. That's it. And when you focus on that one thing, you can get so much done. I mean, so if I took my list and I broke it down into 30 days, focused on one thing every day, you know, the one day I said I'm going to focus on social media. Bam, all my content was done in one day for the whole month. I focus on videos the next day. I cranked out 8 or 9 of them all in one day. You know, and by doing it that way, I think you become more productive.
Yeah, definitely. And it also allows you to get into a flow state. You don't disrupt it, and you are able to get it done quicker because you're not jumping from task to task.
Right. So tell me about, I mean, when we last spoke, you didn't have a website. You were thinking about all of the new stuff that you were going to do, but since then, you've created the website zestyowl.com, and you've learned a lot there. And you know, I know the frustration of building websites, and I think you do too now.
Oh, well, absolutely, because I had your wonderful help along the way. I remember you just said, "Hey, here's your account. Go and push buttons. If you break something, tell me." And I think I broke a few things. I remember one day, just something happened, my internet cut out, whatever, and this web page I'd been working on for so long was gone. It just was blank, and I could not figure out what was going on. I messaged you. I'm like, Rob, I broke something. And and you're like, "Oh god, what'd you do?" It's like, "I don't know. The page isn't there." And you just clicked a little go back in history button and there it was.
Yeah, and you know that I think the biggest thing for you dealing with a website, and this is goes out to everybody out there, is that most of us are perfectionists when it comes to our own stuff, and it's great. But the problem is that we all suffer from phones and iPads and computers and tablets that are all different sizes and shapes, and
Mm,
so we're looking at our website and we're thinking, wow, this looks beautiful. And we go to our phone and you're like, this is ugly as shit. What the
yep.
you know, so we got to get over that, mobile conversion to desktop, you know, size ratio thing. And that's the hardest thing for people because they're like, this looks ugly on a on a tablet or on an iPhone and so now you're going back and you're like, okay, I have to adjust this, I have to adjust it. You know what? Sometimes just let it go.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the hardest one, and, that was probably the most frequent message I got from you was, like, "Just publish it," or "Stop worrying about it being perfect," because I just noticed all those little things. I was like, "The spacing's not right here," and there's still imperfections on the site. I just got a brand new, desktop monitor, and I'm seeing that with this different aspect ratio, my site doesn't look the way I want it to.
Yeah,
So already there's more things that I want to adjust on it, but at least it's there.
yeah.
At least there's something.
You have to have the concept of the Apple or Microsoft thinking is that they just push a product out and they get a whole bunch of sales and then they go back and fix those products with updates and I mean like iOS 14. Okay, well, why didn't the first iOS work? Well, they have to keep improving it, improve. Now you got iOS 14 and it doesn't even work on my phone because this phone's too old.
Right.
So they force you to buy a new phone.
Mhm.
Same with websites, you're like, okay, great. This works for a while. It's getting clients. And then another year you might say, well, okay, it's time to retheme it. Let's add some new things. Let's take away some old things. Yeah, a website is never something that was designed to be static. It was never designed to be a one-off billboard. It was always supposed to be evolving.
Yeah.
And when you think about a website as evolving, it makes it a lot easier so that you can just go in and make changes as you need to and improvements. And I think what the problem is a lot of entrepreneurs like, well, I don't have time for that. I don't have time to blog. I don't have time. Look, if you have time to binge watch Netflix, you have time to fix your website.
Yep, absolutely.
You know? So let's go back to Zesty out. I know that you wanted to you know be the guy who offers lots of services, but you focused on three.
Yep.
And I
Yeah.
think that was a good point because a lot of people want to be this jack of all trades, and they can't. There's no way.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, there's been a few mindset, switches throughout this time of building the business. But yeah, in the beginning, and still, I want it to be a full encompassing digital marketing agency. I
Mhm.
want it to be you go there, you can get all of it done. Um, but I was that would have taken too long to build out everything, and I wouldn't even be where I am now. So I looked immediately like, okay, what can we do now?
Yeah.
What can make money? What can bring value? And just put that out and focused on that. And as the money comes through and as your profits build, then you can start branching out and bringing in the people you need. And uh, like you and and we have some other people in our circles now that are really awesome and contribute to our projects and allow us to build in other services
Mhm.
to give our clients even more than what they came for. So that was very beneficial, was focusing on one thing. And even now, as much as I'm testing around in different areas, that's just for the sake of me kind of like peeking my head in and looking.
Mhm.
But it's not going to be until down the road for a while that I start jumping into those other services and offering them out,
Yeah.
because I want to make sure that they're perfect and that everything is sound for it. So now it just keep focusing on what you can do really well
Right.
right now, and then dabble in those other areas until those are perfect.
And one of the things I think that really impressed me was that, you didn't buy equipment until you had the money to buy equipment.
Yeah.
And so you used what you had to grow the business. And as the money came in and you saw the need, then you used that money to buy new computers, bigger computers. And a lot of entrepreneurs, they'll borrow money, they'll get in debt, and it's so stressful to now they have to offer all these services that they don't really need to offer just so that they can pay back the loan,
Mhm.
for the equipment that they probably didn't need to begin with.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah. Uh, I am definitely more of the analytical and engineering type head, and so I do try and play it closer to the safer, predictable side of things. But I remember I saw a quote from Jay Z that I absolutely loved. He said, "If you can't afford it 3 times, you can't afford it."
Mhm.
And so that stuck with me. And then with me being the analytical and wanting to really map things out, I only want to spend money when it makes sense.
Mhm.
And so that has been very helpful. And I've been happy to see that my bank account doesn't stay at what it is. It ekes up and up and up, and that's what you want to see, especially if we've had some, as you mentioned, pandemic. There's been a lot of changes, a lot of hits to everyone, and so you do want to be able to have something to fall back on.
But in the same respect, though, I've watched you raise your prices. I've watched you command, the audience. I've watched you get, speaking jobs, so the to say that the business isn't there because of a pandemic is wrong, because there are still a lot of opportunities out there. I just think people aren't looking for them, or they're using the pandemic as an excuse to stop working.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great word for it, an excuse. It's very easy for us to find an excuse not to do something. But one of the craziest things that didn't make sense to me was when this all started, people were killing their marketing budgets.
Mhm.
And I was like, this is the time where everyone is at home on a device. Why are you killing your budget? You should be in their face all the time, especially since there's more people, there's more available ad space or news feed space, whatever it is. They're all on their devices. This is where you can make even more out of it.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it just it I watched so many businesses. That was the first thing their accountants told them: "Get rid of marketing. You don't need it." And
Yeah.
marketing is your lifeblood that gets that business heart pumping.
Yeah.
And you take away that's the first way to kill your business quickly.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then here's the thing: the people that continue to market through the pandemic are the ones that stayed strong. They're the ones that when the pandemic finally subsides, they've now captured more business. They were prepared for it. And I look around and I'm going, okay, that restaurant stopped marketing. Look, they're probably 3 seconds away from bankruptcy. That one stopped marketing. I've gone into restaurants where they've eliminated all their marketing, and like I feel like I'm the only one in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And the other restaurants that are still marketing, I go in there, there's like a long line of people trying to get in, and I'm like, doesn't make sense. You know,
Yeah.
Continue that marketing.
Yeah.
They,
Absolutely.
they don't want to spend money.
Yeah, and even with I understand that it's tough on some businesses, but and even if you can't, like, you're not even allowed to open, no one can actually come into a physical location or something. the if you can still keep some budget towards your marketing, it's keeping it alive and building that want for your clients to come in when you do open, and it keeps that going. But if you stop your marketing budget, it just kills any chance of visibility or uh, desire to come in and be a part of your restaurant or buy certain products that are needed.
Yeah.
You
And with you,
start
you're in California, I'm not even going to name the governor's name because he's such a
California's a
piece
bit
of
touchy.
work. But he's killed so much business. He's killed momentum. He's killed motivation. But yet, there's still California businesses that are making money. I wish they would all be making money.
Yes.
Um, but some of them have decided that California is just no longer the place for them to do business, and they're moving. They're going to Texas. They're going other places. They're going to Florida, and the and now the governor's like, "Wow, if you're just going to do that, we're going to raise prices. We're going to raise gas prices. We're going to raise taxes. We're going." And it's like, there's yeah, sometimes you just you look at what you're doing, and I understand you have to raise prices, great, but you got to have to justify everything. So to me, it's all in the value package that you're delivering. So if you're raising your prices, but your package that the value that you're giving people is so much more, they will pay it. You're raising your prices and there's no value. There's nothing for a person to understand. You're going to be that business that fails. And so you got to understand those dynamics. And I think you've done that over the last year.
Yeah, it's been it's been one of those more painful learning experiences because I didn't really know how to price things right off the bat,
Hmm.
uh, or I priced them with very very tight margins, and then after a while I realized how long I was actually dedicating my time to clients and the kind of value that was being brought their way. But it made me hard as projects grew to be able to keep up with all of it and actually make enough with the time I had left.
Hmm.
And so I realized that things were grossly underpriced,
Oh yeah.
and so started upping it from there. And then it's been funny because yeah, the I've had clients on our like a monthly checkup or something who have actually said you need to charge me more. and and then that was kind of another shock to me. I was like, oh, okay, if my client is telling me I need to charge them more, then I definitely need to charge more. It's worth it. So it's there's been feedback from clients who say that it's an absolute gamble, and then a mixture of me becoming more experienced within the space and seeing pricing from other agencies and other entrepreneurs and seeing really where the value of what I do lies.
Yeah,
So
and as an
that's been
entrepreneur, I look at what people are charging and their margins, and they're usually not enough. And when you break it down based on the hours that you put in, you might as well go work for McDonald's flipping burgers because you'll make more money. And entrepreneurs don't realize that. You're just like, okay, the average entrepreneur is working 12-hour days. Great, okay, but you just charge that customer $100 and that's all you're working. That's $8 an hour. What are you
yeah,
doing? You know, and it's like, well, I want to be affordable to my customers. Yeah, but affordable is not paying your bills, and now you can't afford, to upgrade your equipment. You're still working on Windows 95 computer. You know, you got
yeah,
to raise those prices and those margins, and you know, you don't have to tell people that you're charging them $100 an hour. But when you factor in all the time that you're putting in, you know, it's that money that you're charging them is not only paying for your time, it's paying for your experience, it's paying for your overhead, everything else, and I think that's the biggest struggle that entrepreneurs have.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
I
know,
think also one of the big mind shifts for me was going from you're not a freelancer, you're an agency. And
yep.
there was a lot of stuff in the beginning where I was doing it myself. And so I was able to charge those smaller prices
Hmm.
to get those clients and to get that credibility built up. But then I realized there's no room for growth with the money that you're making because there's just not enough.
All right.
And so that was one of the first shifts, being able to go, okay, you need at least these kind of margins to be able to reinvest it into other areas and make an even better package for your clients and bring more. I've been so happy to bring in the graphic designers and the video editors and the ad experts within particular platforms so that there's an even stronger package and value than I could have delivered just myself.
Right.
And so those changing that pricing allowed me to do that and therefore allowed us to bring better results.
And I have to encourage all the listeners to also think about your retirement. What are you going to do when you're 65 years old and it's time that you want to start traveling or spend time with with your family and not do the business? Well, the money that you're charging now needs to also fund your retirement. And I know that you're in your 20s. I'm in my 50s. I got closer time than you do. So maybe you're not thinking about it, but if you add 10 to 15% or even 20% to every single bill, knowing that that's going to your retirement fund, you know, and then you put that money aside every year. When you go to retire, that's a chunk of money that you didn't have before.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Yeah, that's I've got those. Oh, I've lost you.
yeah, I'm still
Oh,
here.
you're back.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I've got those kind of like there's the agency goals and then there's those personal goals as well, and they work alongside each other. But this year I've been much more focused on the future kind of retirement plans of where those funds are going to be coming from and been getting involved in that kind of putting some money aside here or investing into here already. So that's been firing up for me now.
yeah, because I know as my own agency, as a book publisher, my computers fill up with content quickly. So about every 3 years, I got to recycle and get a new computer. And I even have backup hard drives and terabyte hard drives, but they get filled up, and you're thinking, oh shit, that's another computer, that's another this, you have to think about the equipment that you're buying, and if you're not charging enough, that computer gets outdated very quickly, and you need to be able to have stuff that works when you need it to work.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
how does the audience find you, Henry? I know I mentioned Zesty Al, but you can share the website and all the fun stuff.
Yeah. So the website zestyowl.com. But if you want to connect and see more and kind of get involved with me and my personal life, I'm at Henry D. Sims on pretty much all of the major social media platforms.
Except TikTok.
I'm on TikTok.
Doing a little dance video, are you?
Oh yeah, you won't see that.
No, never. No, that's why I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on Clubhouse. And it's funny because I've written multiple books on social media, and the last couple of years I look at all the new stuff, all the new shiny object social media stuff, and I'm like, nope, uh-uh, not happening. Not going to be there. Not going to find me. And people are like, Rob, why aren't you there? I'm like, because I got more work than I can handle. Don't need it.
Yeah.
You can find me.
Yeah, you won't find me being anything other than myself on any of the platforms.
And if you're in Southern California and you want to take Henry out to the track with your motorbikes,
Oh, yeah,
he'll be down for that quick.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's too dangerous for me. Go karts, yeah, I can do, but dune
Alright, there
buggies,
we go. That's a
yeah.
start.
I wrecked too many times on my motorcycle when I was your age, and not doing that anymore.
Yeah, I'm paying for that. My body hurts.
Well, there you go. We'll leave it at that. So we'll see you guys on the next episode. This is what makes Henry an e-hero. Go visit him at zestyowl.com and just say hi. Hey, see ya.